I wonder how many other critics out there watched this movie and went, huh, kind of makes you think about what it is that we do and what it is that we say. Who's listening? Is the artist listening? Are they paying attention? Are they going to have a plot to kill us at some point in our lives? Any of those things is possible. This is Opus. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is an A24 movie. And it does have audio description. It's done by Laura Post. And this is I I like movies that are interesting. I like movies that take swings. I'm gonna say, like, from the beginning, I knew where this movie was headed. So if you felt like I spoiled it for you, I apologize. I don't think for a minute that this movie ever tried to play itself as anything that it wasn't. I knew where we were headed the whole time. Like, the whole time. There were no surprises, no twists. There were surprises only when I thought the movie was going to go someplace and then it didn't quite go that far. There were some times where I was like, okay, so how far are we going to go? It stars Ayo Edebiri, John Malkovich, Murray Bartlett, Juliette Lewis, Amber Midthunder, Tony Hale. That's a lot. That's enough people. If you're not excited with those six people who are all amazingly talented individuals, then I don't know how to help you. Uh, so what is it? John Malkovich plays this sort of legendary, epically legendary, to the point where, like, he has changed everything that is pop music. Think about, like, David Bowie, Prince level type stuff. He is, like, at a high level of acclaim, adoration, and then also that's left him open to a lot of, uh, you know, journalists, music journalists over the years that have reviewed him. And he's kind of gone dark for a little while, and he's about to release a new thing, and he releases it. He's very eccentric, and he does things sort of in grand fashion. He wears, gaudy rock star clothes, even at home. Everything is a show for him. So there's this large buildup, and a very select group of music journalists are invited to his compound, which is out in the middle of nowhere. Always great to be in an A24 movie in the middle of nowhere. Those always work out well. And they, everybody's sort of, surprised that they were selected. None more so really than Ao, who her character is sort of new to music journalism. She's younger, and while she's hoping to be able to use this as a piece, she's also being invited at the same time as another guy from her same sort of publication, and he's kind of like, yeah, you're just here to take notes. I'm pretty certain not, but that's cute that you think that. Anyway, so he kind of, reminds her that he gets dibs. Yeah, he's writing one article, and it's his article, not her article. So welcome, you can come along for the ride, but it's his show. So we eventually, everybody is on this plane. Everything is guided from this team that all work for Malkovich, and they eventually get all the way out to the middle of nowhere at this compound, and they find not only does he have this huge mansion that he lives in, but he's also got kind of like a little town around him. It's all like fenced in. It's a compound. There's literally a fence with barbed wires surrounding the facility. And there are fans outside, even though he's living in the middle of nowhere. There are super fans who like live in their cars outside of his base. And they get to go inside and they meet the artists and all of the eccentricities. And They're given sort of uh, very odd uh, eh, introductions and assignments, and they work their way through. And AO seems to be a lot more interested in actually getting into the story as a journalist, whereas other people are sort of more easily entertained by shiny things, or they're like, well, this is how things go. We've done stuff like this before. You know, they're all here to hear the new album. This is like a big listening party thing. And so eventually we get around to uh, an agenda and these things that they're supposed to have happened. It's all going to lead up to, and they have these rooms, and each one of them is given this personal concierge who will supposedly do anything for them. Although I thought one of the failings of the film was that Ao never asks anything of her concierge to find out how crazy of an ask she could get. Because Malkovich literally says you can ask them anything. No ask is too big or too small. And she never actually uses that for any sort of consideration. She just sends them out into the world, and just like they're just there. They're just following around, I guess. So, everything else after this just it goes downhill. I'm just gonna say it goes downhill. It takes a weird turn. Things get weird, and it goes in a weird direction, and it goes downhill. And I don't really know how to discuss like this movie without spoiling it, at least on some level. You have to know it's a horror movie going into it, and knowing it's a horror movie means that you're going to be able to immediately see Opus. So like I'd love to be able to talk to somebody who watched Opus and didn't see it coming. Like that would give me a lot more clarity on what is considered a spoiler and what's not considered a spoiler, because there wasn't anything about Opus that surprised me. Especially having seen just a couple of years ago, we had The Menu. This is very like The Menu. Very like The Menu. um, so, yeah. It feels like that's maybe the reason why critics haven't fully responded to Opus. I think there are things here to like about Opus. But there are also things that I was kind of like, okay, well, I thought we were going to go there. It reveals its hand a little bit early on, sort of when the first person meets their uh, end of screen time. Uh, and that comes pretty early in the film. I think we're still within the first 30 minutes of the film. So from that point on, you kind of know that something's off. Anyway, even if you weren't, you would know something's off. Like, because the film does take a pause, and it does kind of like, it's not rapid fire uh, thrill ride from that point. It's very sort of tiptoeing its way to something, to some great climax at the end. And it has a lot of interesting ideas about what's the difference between just sort of having a obsessive fan base and actually being able to turn that fan base into sort of a cult or a religion, and sort of becoming the idol of this central ideology, and being able to have this community around you. I mean, he has a school, he has little kids. He had to bring people in to his world so that they could teach the kids that live in his compound. So, and all of it is about this big, bright, beautiful tomorrow, but it never really explores what the tenets of his ideology or his beliefs are. And Malkovich in this thing, he kind of just dodges it as being ever truly any sort of cult or religion. And so they lightly discuss some ideas so that that what it is they're talking about, but they never really dive deep into what are your thoughts on these topics. And he doesn't really ever push his ideas onto the world about anything really. I mean, he doesn't have any thoughts on, I don't know, the earth, are we polluting it? Are we not polluting it? Should we be one with the environment? Like, what are we doing? Animals, eat them, not eat them, marriage? Is marriage a thing? And I mean, like, there's so many things, um, that the film just kind of steps around conveniently to create this film that feels deeply inspired by the menu, but also almost challenges critics to call it out. Because the whole film is very anti-critic, because that's essentially what all these people are. And things don't work out well for them. So I walked into this review and I was like, I feel like the director is trying to tell me that if I give it a bad review, I'm gonna get this letter in the mail one day, and I'm gonna get flown out of the middle of nowhere, and my life is gonna become absolutely fucked. So I'm doing this for you guys at this point. This is I didn't hate the movie. I actually love John Malkovich in this. I think this movie doesn't work unless you get someone like John Malkovich. The movie fails. The movie falls flat on its face and dies a horrible death without John Malkovich. He is so ready to be off the wall eccentric that I think they could have pushed him further. He's here for it. Like, this is the kind of thing where I heard him one time he talked about being in a Marvel movie, and I think he got offered a Marvel role or something, and he just wasn't interested in doing it. He was like, if I'm going to spend hours doing this green screen stuff, and you're going to have me in a rig, then pay me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, pay me, because there are other things I'd rather do that are far more interesting. So to him, it wasn't interesting. It literally would have just been for money, which is basically what a lot of actors admit to with certain roles in films, is like it was the paycheck. Michael Caine's famous quote about Jaws: The Revenge is, when they asked him, did he ever see the movie? He said, no, but I saw the beach house that it bought, and it's beautiful. I mean, like, he just openly just is like, I don't know. I'm sure the movie's shit, but the house that I got out of it was lovely. So, sometimes we think stars are these, they're the classic trained actors, right? And they'll never ever sell out for money. But every once in a while, they're like, yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to have a nice little uh, influx of cash so that I can step into smaller roles and ask like nothing for money and not feel like I'm gonna go broke by stepping into these tiny films. So there's there's Ayo, who I love. I love her on The Bear. She has come into her own. I don't even know what, like, I have this weird feeling about The Bear where I think Jeremy Allen White was the lead of the first season, but season 2 and 3, Ayo has been the lead. And for some reason, we just keep praising Jeremy Allen White because we don't know how to stop. Like, we're just addicted to it. And he doesn't really have the scenes or anything to support like he did in season 1. In season 1, we didn't know much about the ensemble, but season 2 and 3 made concerted efforts to boost Ayo to literally, she went from competing in supporting actress categories to competing in lead, and she was given infinitely more screen time and focus, and her character and backstory and everything has been focused on a lot more, even though she's not really part of the family. It's just like people saw her and she became like the breakout star, and people realized talent. You know what I'm saying? They just saw it and they were like, well, we could build a show around her and tell a story with her. And I thought, like, the last 2 seasons of The Bear have really done a lot for her, but I'm not sure so much for Jeremy Allen White. I think she's a prestige actress, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. There are plenty of actors and actresses out there in the world who they do projects. There are people who do prestige films, and there are people who do comedies, there are people who do horror movies, they're scream queens. And there's scream queens who can't do anything else but scream queens, and they're great in horror movies. They are excellent, and they live in the genre, and they bounce around from film to film, and it's really exciting to see them traverse the genre. But they can't really do anything other than that. They're never going to win an Oscar. They never get nominated for anything. We do have like the Jamie Lee Curtises of the world who step out of their genre, but we do have a lot of people who sort of stay in the horror realm, and that's what they do. And then we have people like Meryl Streep who just don't work in horror movies. Like it just is not the same thing. Like she just wouldn't work. Meryl Streep in Bride of Chucky just sounds like the worst thing you could ever possibly imagine. You know, it just sounds like what? But like Jennifer Tilly doing it, yeah, of course. But no, I mean certain people you just wouldn't ever expect to see in certain films. And every once in a while, we write a film and it seems perfectly suited, and then everybody goes apeshit for it because it's like Hugh Grant and Heretic, and nobody really thought that would happen. So, I mean, there's an exception to the rule, but I don't think Ayo's at a place where she is at all prepared to be a screen queen. She's very much still used to getting these amazing roles offered to her. Like she's destined to win an Oscar, an Emmy, Golden Globe, Tony, whatever. You know, she's gonna win whatever she wants in that area. But in a horror movie, she doesn't fit the scream queen mold at all. There are certain times where uh, she doesn't really seem quite as afraid as somebody else who's used to doing this kind of genre would be. She she comes across sometimes as being maybe a little anxious, and that's about as much as I can give her. But the other stuff is excellent. Like all of the other stuff when she has some more serious scenes with Malkovich. She has scenes when she talks to other people in the compound. She even has scenes where she has to talk to children. And I thought the way that she talked to children, you know, great. I mean, she nails everything else. But if you're looking for her to be the next Scream Queen, I don't think that's here. And the role kind of requires a little bit of that. I just think she's too good for it. I think she's, and I don't mean that in a way where I'm like, you know, I think she's snobby or something like that, and she won't. I just don't think that she's, you know, when you go from filming things like The Bear, and she's in Luca Guadagnino's movie this year, After the Hunt, where she already has Oscar buzz for a film that no one has seen because she's Ayo Edebiri, and that's where we're at now. Uh, so yeah, when you're already at that point in your career to step into this, which is essentially the menu, but with music, uh, you have to have a level. You know, you have to have a tad bit of that. I'm running from the craziness, you know, and you can be a great actress and do both. Uh, you know, Florence Pugh, Midsummer. You've got uh, Anya Taylor-Joy for the menu. I mean, there are like really good actresses that are doing this, and I don't think her performance is bad, but I do think there was part of me that was disconnected from me believing that she was actually genuinely terrified at any point in this movie. So, um, it's I kind of liked Opus, but I didn't love it. It kind of reminds me a lot of things that came before it. I think a lot of it is powered by Malkovich's weird performance, and I think about like if not Malkovich, like who, like Willem Dafoe maybe. You know, I mean, like there are very few actors who could have pulled this off at this level to make it, because you have to be sort of older anyway. You know, you have to be able to pull off the eccentricities of being an older rock star. You can't, so we have to cut off immediately all of the younger actors, despite, you know, I mean, so you have to be of a certain age to be able to pull off anyway. And then you look at actors who are willing to sort of stretch themselves and, and believably be in this role and hit these marks and have these lines and say the things that this guy says and also perform the songs. He actually has to do this weird ass music, and he's great at it. Like I love John Malkovich in this. I don't know if he's going to be in my supporting actor top 10. He is now based on the like year so far, but I mean it's, you know, May, so I'm gonna see more movies. I don't know if he's gonna stay there. I would love to have him there. I don't have a problem with it. Last year, I had Nicolas Cage and Longlegs in my top 10 because I thought that was a batshit crazy performance, and I loved it. So, and I'm not incapable of keeping a performance like this around, but yeah, I don't know. I will think about his performance a lot. Sort of the same way I liked Ray Fiennes' performance in The Menu. I mean, I think a lot of this is carried on Malkovich, and he's such a great actor, just such a classic, perfect actor to be able to throw into a film like this. Is it the best A24 movie? No, but it's not bad. I mean, last year we got the worst. We got the worst, I think, A24 movie we've ever gotten and will ever get. Uh, with The Front Room. I don't think they'll ever be able to beat that. I think that movie's atrocious. It didn't even play like an A24 movie. It actually felt like they accidentally acquired like a Blumhouse title, but not even a good Blumhouse title. Like a Blumhouse title that was meant to go to streaming. Like, it's one of the worst movies I've seen. So, yeah, this is A24 at least tries to make challenging and interesting movies. And I will say that when the violence and gore needs to up the ante, it absolutely does up the ante. One of the things I was talking about when I said I thought the movie was going to go further than that, based on, I've seen Midsummer, is we have a mention of there's a mention of how Malkovich was made fun of for stuffing his dogs. He had these Dobermans, and they died, and he had them like taxidermy, like stuffed or whatever. So, considering what happens with that, I actually thought they were going to taxidermy as the like the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Like as the, well, you thought that was, so now taxidermy. Still trying to like lightly step around spoilers. That's not what it is. I mean, it's like close to that, but it's not the same thing. It's like they couldn't quite figure out how to make the other work, so they weren't 100% sure, so they just didn't do it. So they did this other thing instead. And I'm like, I guess that's kind of adjacent, but also, I don't know. So, um, it's has sort of an interesting ending to it. I don't know. Will you love Opus? I don't, probably not, but I think some people might like it enough. It might be worth a watch. It's certainly a film that has me thinking, and it certainly, as a critic, has me going, huh? So, yeah, I don't hate Opus. It's not in my top 10 of the year, but it has good, the rest of the supporting cast is fine. It's just none of them are really ever featured long enough to be able to, I mean, it's nice to have people like Juliette Lewis and Murray Bartlett here, but this is Ayo's film, and John Malkovich is there sort of as the centerpiece, and everybody else is just sort of supporting in and of themselves. And it's nice to have them. It's nice to have solid actors like that around them, but it's not their film. As much as you may love them, they don't really ever get the chance to shine individually as actors. So I love the audio description, and Laura Post absolutely comes in clutch when necessary, and pointing out very specific things that happen. There are some very uncomfortable and weird things that happen in this movie too, and a lot of things that will unnerve you. Like I said, I don't know what's a spoiler because I saw everything in this movie coming. It's just sometimes I thought it was going to go further than it did, and it didn't. And I wasn't surprised. I was like, well, okay, well, we didn't go that far. Well, kudos. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna give Opus a B minus. I didn't hate watching it, but I can't say that it's a great movie. But I think Malkovich's performance is gonna stay with me, and that's enough for me to be able to say B minus. But there's a minus there, so don't rush. You can wait for this to eventually come to max if you want. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.